Question 4. Look at the following rectangles. Which rectangles are similar to each other? You can verify this by measuring the width and height using a scale and comparing their ratios. Now I'll give values for each rectangle and we can find the ratios if they're similar or not. We can take rectangle A, for example, has a height of 2 and a width of 5. Rectangle B has a height of 20 and a width of 32. Rectangle C has a height of 26, a width of 65. Rectangle D has a height of 33 and a width of 96. And rectangle E has a width of 100 and a height of 40. Now let's simplify the ratios. So for rectangle A, width to height is 2:5. This cannot be simplified more, so this ratio is in the simplest form. Rectangle B, width is 20. No, the height is 20 and width is 32. This can be simplified more into 5:8. Since both sides can be divided by 4. Since 5:8 is in the simplest form, we can take this as rectangle B's ratio. Since 5:8 is not the same as 2:5, rectangle A and B are not similar since their simplest ratios are not the same, so they're not proportional. Now let's do rectangle C. Ratio is 26:65. You can simplify this to 2:5, as both sides can be divided by 13. Since 2:5 in its simplest form is the same as rectangle's ratio 2:5, A and C are similar, since both their simplest ratio are the same. But B and C are not similar since their ratios are not the same. Now for rectangle D, ratio is 96:33. I mean, it is 33:96 since we're doing height to width. So it's 33 and 96. This can be simplified to 11:32. 11:32 is in the simplest form, so this is the simplest ratio for rectangle D. Since rectangle D's ratio does not match with any of the others, rectangles A, B, or C, so rectangle D is not the same as them. So it is a different rectangle. Now for rectangle E, the ratio is 40:100, which simplified becomes 2:5 since both sides are divisible by 20. So since the simplest form of ratio E is 2:5 and it's the same as rectangle A and C, A, C, and E are similar. Since their simplest ratios are the same, so their three rectangles are similar. Now question 5. Look at the following rectangle. Can you draw a smaller rectangle and bigger rectangle with the same width to height ratio in your notebooks? Compare rectangles with your classmates' drawing. Let's, for example, give the width is 32. No, the width is 60, sorry, and the height is 32 centimeters. For example, my values. To find if To find and now draw a rectangle smaller than this, we can just simplify this ratio. You can simplify this ratio to its simplest form, that is 15:8. Since both sides is times a quarter. So this is the simplest form, so this is a smaller rectangle, but the rectangles are similar since if you simplify 60 to 32, you get 15:8. You can do for a bigger rectangle by timesing both sides by a factor of 2, 3, 4, any factor you can times it by, and they'll still be similar. So let's times both sides by 2. So you'll get 160 times 2 is 120, and 32 times 2 is 64. So 120 to 64 is the width to height ratio for the bigger rectangle. Okay. Now question 6. Question 6. The following figure shows small portion of a long brick wall with patterns made using colored bricks. Each wall continues this pattern throughout the wall. What is the ratio of gray bricks to colored bricks? Try to give the ratios in the simplest form. Let's do part A first. So there are six. So there are 3 sets of 6 red bricks. So there is a total of 18 red bricks. And then there are, let's count how many gray bricks are there. $33. Okay. So the ratio for gray to colored bricks is 33 is to 18. This can be simplified more into 11 is to 6, since both is, you can times it by 1/3. So this is your answer for part A. The ratio of gray bricks to colored bricks for A is 11 is to 6. There are actually 33 gray bricks and 18 red bricks. Since the question asks you to simplify your answer, you have to simplify it. Part B. For part B, let's count how many yellow bricks there are first. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 bricks in one set of here. So there is 4 sets. So 12 times 4 is 48. Yellow bricks. So let's find the number of gray bricks. There are a total of 71 gray bricks. So the ratio of gray bricks to colored bricks is 71 to 48. 71 to 48 is in its simplest form, since both of them can't be divided or times by a common head CF. So this is your final answer for part B. Question 7. Let us draw some human figures. Measure your friend's body, the length of their head, also arms and legs. Write the ratios as mentioned below. So let's take random measurements or your head is 40 centimeters and your torso is 50 centimeters, then your arms is, my arms is 7 centimeters, torso is 50, legs is 90. Okay. Now draw a figure with head, torso, arms, and legs with equivalent ratios as above. Does the drawing look more realistic if the ratios are proportional? Why or why not? The rule of 3. Example 8. For the midday meal in a school with 120 students, the cook usually makes 15 kilograms of rice. On a rainy day, only 80 students came to school. How many kilograms of rice should the cook make so that the food is not wasted? A ratio of the number of students to the amount of rice needed to be proportional. So for 120 students, there is 15 kilograms of rice. So for 80 students. So now, since we know both the ratios have to be proportional, from 120 to make it to 8, what do you have to times it by? You have to times it by 2/3. 120 times 2/3 is 80. So since we did times 2/3 in the left side, we have to do the same thing in the right side. So 15 times 2/3 is 10. As is shown here, we divide 80 by 120 to get 2/3. And then you do 15 times 2/3 to get 10. So the cook only has to make 10 kg of rice a day without it being wasted. The situation above is a typical example of a problem where we need to use proportional reasoning to find the solution. 4 quantities are linked proportionally, out of which 3 are known and we must find the 4th unknown quantity. To solve such problems, we can model 2 proportional ratios using algebraic notation as A is to B is the same as C is to D. For these 2 ratios to be proportional, we know the term C should be a multiple of a term A by a factor, say F, and term D should be a multiple of term B by the same factor F. So C equals to FA and D equals to FB. From part 1 and 2, we can say that F, by making F the subject, F equals to C over A and F equals to D over B. Since F is the same value, we can say both equations are equal to each other. So C over A is equals to D over B. Then you multiply both sides, cross multiply, so we can remove the fractions. And eventually you should get BC equals to AD. And since we will have to find only one of the unknown quantity, we just make that unknown quantity subject. So for example, we have to find D. So we just do BC over A that equals to D right here. Now, the important part is in this orange box. 2 ratios are proportional if their terms are equal when cross multiplied. The 4th unknown quantity can be found through such cross multiplication. In ancient India, Aryabhatta 119 CE and others called such problems of proportionality rule of 3 problems. There are 3 numbers given: the Paramana, the Pala, the Ichacha, to find the Ichaphala. Aryabhatta says multiply the Pala by the Ichahat and divide the resultant products by the Paramana. In other words, Aryabhatta says Paramana is to Palala is the same as Ichara is to Ichahanala. Therefore, but. Example 9. A car travels 90 kilometers in 150 minutes. If it continues at the same speed, what distance would it cover in 4 hours? So we know the ratio is 150 minutes to 90. It's the same as, you can't write 4 here, as shown here. 4 cannot be written because at the start, the ratio is 150 minutes to 90 kilometers. But we can't write 4 here since 4 is in hours. We have to have the same measure of unit. So we have to write it in minutes. So 4 hours in minutes is 240 minutes. Now we can do the rule of 3. So if we put as 150 as A, 90 as B, 240 as C, and the unknown quantity as D, and you want to solve for D with the equation D equals to BC over A, so we just do 240 times 90 over 150. We should get 144 as your answer. As is shown here, we have to write 240 in minutes instead of hours. And if you do this step right here, you should get 144. So the answer is the distance covered by the car in 4 hours is 144 kilometers. Example 10. A small farmer in Himachal Pradesh sells each 200 grams packets of tea for 200 rupees. A large estate in Himalayas sells each 1 kg rice, 1 kg packet of tea for 800 rupees. Are the weight to price ratios in both places proportional, which tea is small? The ratios of weight to price of Himachal tea is 200 to 200. What is the price ratio of Meghalaya tea? Is it 1 to 800? The weight to price ratio of Meghalaya tea can't be 1 to 800 since the weight to price ratio of Himachal tea is 200 200. 200 grams, 200 rupees. But since Megahal sells 1 kilogram packet of tea for 800 rupees, since the unit is must be the same, so both has to be grams, the weight. So instead of 1 to 800, it is 1000 to 800. This should not be an obvious because we consider the weight in grams in the case of Himachal, so the weight price is 1800 right here. To check if the ratios are proportional, we need to see if both ratios are the same in the simplest form. If we simplify 200 to 200, this is 1 to 1. And if we simplify 1000 to 800, it simplifies to 5 to 4. Since in the simplest form, the ratios are not the same, the ratios are not proportional. Which tea is more expensive and why? To answer the question, tea is more expensive. To answer the question as to which tea is more expensive, we should keep a same weight in both places. What is the price of 1 kilogram of tea from Meghalaya? It is 800 rupees. Let's say the price of 1 kilogram of tea is 8 rupees. 200 grams is 1/5 of 1000, 1 kilogram. Multiplying, so we get 1/5 times x is 200. As 200 over 1000 is 1/5. That is right here. And to find how much 200 grams cost, you just do 1/5. Hold on. As I was saying, 200 over 1000 is 1/5. And since we're multiplying both sides by 5, we get 1/5 times x times 5 equals 200 times pi. 1/5 times 5 is just 1, so it's just 200 times 5, that's 1000, so x is 1000. So the cost of 1 kilogram of tea is 800 rupees in Meghalaya and 1000 in Himachal Pradesh. Therefore, the tea in Himachal Pradesh is more expensive since you have to pay more for a kilogram in Himachal than in Meghalaya. Activity 1. Take your favorite dish. Find out all the ingredients and their respective quantities needed to make the dish for your family. Suppose you are celebrating a festival and you want to invite 15 guests. Find out the quantities of the ingredients required to cook the same dish for them. You can do this activity 1 yourself. Figure it out. Question 1. The Earth travels approximately 940 million kilometers around the Sun in a year. How many kilometers will it travel in a week? First, we have to find how many weeks are there in a year. There are approximately 52 weeks in a year, since there's always an extra day, and every 4 years we have a leap year. So we do 940 million divided by 52. We should get about 18,076,923. So this is your answer. Question 2. A mason is building a house in the shape shown in the diagram. He needs to construct both outer walls and inner wall. That separate 2 rooms to build a wall of 10 feet. He requires approximately 1,450 bricks. How many bricks would he need to build the house? Assume all the walls are the same height and thickness. Now, based on what I did here, I labeled the side of each walls. Since they give 12 feet here, means the opposite side also is 12. 9 feet here means the opposite is also 9. 6 feet here, so this is 6. 9 here means this is also 9. And this is 9 because this entire thing is 15. So 15 minus 6 with here is 9. Then we add up, and this here is 12 since this is also 12. Then we add up every side of the walls, and you should get 108 feet. And since we know 1,450 bricks is for 10 feet, so for 1 feet of wall, it's just 1,450 divided by 10. You should get 145. So 1 feet of wall, it takes 145 bricks, and we have 108 feet worth of walls. So 108 times 145, you should get 108 times 145, you should get 15,660 bricks. So this is the answer. Next question. Punit's father went to Lucknow and Kanpur in 2 hours by riding his motorcycle at the speed 50 kilometers per hour. If he drives at 75 kilometers per hour, how long does it take him to reach Kanpur? Can you form this problem as a proportion? Since we know proportionality is the same since it's traveling the same distance, so 50:2 must be the same as 75:2. length. To become from 50 to 75, we have to times it by 3/2. So we do the same thing on the right side. So 2 times 3/2 is 3. But that's not possible, since if you're traveling at a faster speed, the distance, the time taken should decrease since you're traveling faster. But you get 3 hours instead of 2. So for these types of problems, you can't use the rule of 3. It cannot be solved using the rule of 3. So you can't model like this. Activity 2. Go to the market and collect prices of different sizes shampoo containers and of the same shampoo and create a table like the one given below. See if the volume of shampoo is proportional to the price. This is the table here. Give it a read. The table has 3 columns: container, volume, and price. Each sachet, small bottle, medium bottle, large bottle, each having its individual volume and price. Let us compare the ratios for the sample table above. The ratio of the volume of the sachet to a small bottle is 6 to 180. The ratio of their price is 2 to 154. Are these ratios proportional? Let's check. 6 to 180. If you simplify it, you should get 1 to 30 and 2 is to 154. Simplify it, you should get 1 to 77. These ratios are not the same, so they are not proportional. Why do you think the ratios of these prices are not proportional to the ratio of the volumes? Discuss the pros and cons of different size bottles for the company and for customers. For reducing ecological footprint, what would you recommend to the company and to the customer? Does the same occur for other products? Make similar tables for other products in the market, capturing different prices of different measure in the same product, e.g. rice and atta. Observe the products for the product which the prices are proportional to the different measures. Discuss in class the proportionality of the prices to measures of the same product. 7.5. Sharing but not equally. Activity 3. Form a pair, collect 12 countable objects or counters. It can be coins, seeds, or pebbles. Now share them between two of you in different ways. If you divide them equally, what is the ratio number of counters will each of you have? If there's 2 people and you're equally dividing them, 12. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. So each of you should get 6 counters. So the ratio between you and your partner is 6 to 6, which is simplified into 1 is to 1. Now let us not share equally. If your partner gets 5 counters, how many objects will you get? What is the ratio of the counters? So if your partner gets 5, you have to get 7, since 12 minus 5 is 7. So the ratio between you and your partner should be 5 is to 7. So your partner has 5 and you have 7, and this is in the simplest form. The ratio of the counters of your partner and yours is 5 is to 7. Now, if you want to share the counters between the two of you, the ratio of 3 is to 1, how many counters would each of you get? Share the counters in different ways and see which combination is in the ratio 3 is to 1. One way to share the counters in the ratio of 3 is to 1 is as follows. For step 1. Your partner takes 3 counters and you take 1 counter. There are now 8 counters left. Step 2. Your partner takes 3 more counters and you take 1 more counter. There are 4 counters left. Last step. Your partner takes 3 more counters and you take 1 more counters and there are no more counters left. So your partner gets 9 counters in total and you get 3. When you divide 12 counters in the ratio of 3:1 between two people, one gets 9 counters and the other gets 3 counters. The whole is 12, shown in this diagram, and it's split into 3:1. 3 times 3 is 9. 1 times 3 is 3. So the whole is 4. 4, 3 plus 1 is 4. So 12 is 3 times of 4. The parts are 3 times the ratio of 3:1. You add 9 and 3, it's 12. So if the ratios are added to the total number, means you have divided them correctly. Now, if you want to check 42 counters between two of you in the ratio of 4:3, how will you do it? Using the same procedure would take a long time. There's a simpler way to share the whole part in a specific ratio. You need to divide 42 into groups, such as your partner gets 4 and you get 3 groups. Since the ratio is 4:3, the total groups 4 plus 3 is 7. Then you do 42 divided by 7, which is 6. So one group is 6. Since you have 4 groups, so 4 times 6, that is 24. And your partner has 3 groups, so 6 times 3, that is 18. So this should be your ratio of division, shown right here. If your partner gets 4 groups and you get 3 groups, the total number of groups is 7. As the size of the group is, as the size of each group is 42 divided by 7 to 6. Multiplying the number of groups by the size of each group, then our partner gets 24 counters and you get 18. When you share 42 counters in the ratio of 4:3, as shown here. Same thing, this shows 24 and 18. In general, you want to divide a quantity, say x, in the ratio m to n. We do the following. We split the x into groups, such as it can be divided into 2 parts, where the first group of n groups and the second part has n groups. But what is the size of each group? This can be found by dividing x by the number of groups. The number of groups is m plus n, so the size of each group is x over n plus n. The first part is m times x over n plus n, and the second part is n times x over n plus n. Thus, if you want to divide a quantity by x or in the ratio of n to n, then the parts will be as the following. Example 11. Prashanti and Bhuvan started a food court business near their school. Prashanti invested £75,000 and Bhuvan invested £25,000. At the end of the first month, they gained a profit of £4,000. They decided that they would share the profit in the same ratio as their investment. What is each person's share profit? So the ratio is 75,000 to 25,000. And if you simplify this, you should get 3:1. So the total groups, so Prashanti has 3 groups and Bhuvan only has 1 group. So the total groups is 3 plus 1, which is 4. And you do 4,000 divided by 4, which one group is 1,000. So Prashanti has 3 groups. So 3 times 1,000 is 3,000. And Bhuvan only has 1 group. So 1 times 1,000 is 1,000. So they should share the profit. Prashanti getting 3,000 and Bhuvan getting 1,000, as shown here. Example 12. A mixture of 40 kilograms contains sand and cement in the ratio of 3:1. How much cement would be added to the mixture to make the ratio of the sand to cement 5:2? Let us find the quantity of sand and cement in the original mixture. The ratio is 3:1 and the total weight is 40 kilograms. The weight of the sand is 3 over 3 plus 1 times 40, that's 30. The weight of cement is 1 over 3 plus 1 times 40, that is 10. The weight of the sand is the same in this new mixture. It contains 30, but the new ratio of the sand to cement is 5:2. So what is his ratio? Since they're both the same, you do, hold on, 5:2, 30 is 2 blank. from 5 to reach 30, you have to times it by if you times it by 6. So you do the same thing the opposite side, times it by 6. 6 times 2 is 12, which you get right here. The new mixture should have 12 kilograms of cement if the ratio of the sand to cement is 5:2. There is 10 kg of cement already, so we need to add 2 kg of cement to the original mixture. Okay, figure it out. Question 1. Divide 4,500 into 2 parts in the ratio of 2:3. Since there is 2 groups and 3 groups, the total number of groups is 5. So you do 4,500 divided by 5, which should get 900. So one group is 900, so 2 groups is 1,800, and 3 groups is 2,700. So this should be your final answer, 1,800 to 2,700. Question 2. In a science lab, acid and water are mixed in the ratio of 1:5. To make a solution in a bottle that has 240 ml of solution, how much acid and water does the solution contain? Blue and yellow paints are mixed in the ratio of 3:5. Sorry. Question 2. So there is 1 group of acid and 5 groups of water. So the total number of groups is 6. So you do 240 divided by 6, which you should get 40. So 1 group is 40. So there is 40 millimeters of acid, and 40 times 5 groups, that is 200 groups of water. So this should be your final answer for question 2. Question 3. Blue and yellow paint are mixed in the ratio of 3:5. To produce 40 ml of green paint, how much of these 2 colors are needed? To make the paint a lighter shade of green, why I added 20 ml of yellow to the mixture. What is the new ratio of blue to yellow in this paint? Let's answer the first question, that is, how much of these 2 colors are needed? There is 3 groups and 5 groups of blue and yellow, so the total group is 8. 40 divided by 8, that is 5. So the ratio is 5 times 3, that's 15, and 5 times 5, that is 25. So it's 15 ml of blue and 25 ml of yellow to make green paint. Let's answer the first question. Second question is, they make a lighter shade of green paint, added 20 ml to the mixture. So if you add 20 ml of yellow, so 25 plus 20 is 45. So the ratio becomes 15 to 45. That's the new ratio of blue to yellow. If you want to simplify this more, you can. It becomes 1 to 3. So this should be your answer. Question 4. To make soft idlis, you need to mix rice and urad dal in the ratio of 2:1. If you need 6 cups in this mixture to make idlis tomorrow morning, how many cups of rice and urad dal do you need? There's 2 groups of rice and 1 group of urad dal. So the total groups is 3. So the total groups is 3, and you need 6 cups for the whole mixture. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. So 1 group is 2. So there's 2 groups of rice, so 2 times 2 is 4. So that's 4 cups of rice. And there is 1 cup of urad dal. 1 group is 2, so 2. So answer is 4:2. 4 cups of rice and 2 cups of urad dal to make idli. Question 5. I have 1 bucket of orange paint, and I made by mixing red and yellow paint in the ratio of 3:5. I added another bucket of yellow paint to this mixture. What is the ratio of red paint to yellow paint in this new mixture? Since the original mixture has 3 groups of red and 5 groups of yellow, together is 8 groups, and 8 groups is 1 bucket. So if you add another bucket of yellow paint, means there's another 8 groups to yellow. So you add 8 plus the 5 groups in the original bucket. So 8 plus 5 is 13. So the ratio should be 3:13 as your final answer. Next, 7.6 unit conversions. We have noticed earlier that solving problems with proportionality often requires us to convert units from one system to another. Here are a few important units conversion for your reference. Length. 1 meter equals to 3.281 feet. For the area, 1 square meter equals to 10.764 square feet. 1 acre equals to 43,660 square feet. 1 hectare is 10,000 square meters. 1 hectare is also 2.471 acres. For volume, 1 milliliter is 1 cubic centimeter. 1 liter is 1000 milliliters or 1000 cubic centimeters. For temperature conversion between Fahrenheit and Celsius is a bit more complicated. 0 degrees Celsius equals to 32 degrees Fahrenheit. To convert Celsius into Fahrenheit, it's just 9/5 times Celsius plus 32. And if you want to convert Fahrenheit into Celsius, Fahrenheit minus 32 times 5/9. Figure it out. Question 1. Anaga gave 600 ml of orange juice with 900 ml of apple juice to make a fruit drink. Write the ratio of orange juice to apple juice in the simplest form. So the ratio we know is 600 to 900. This can be simplified to 2:3 as 2:3 as each can be divided by each can be divided by 300. Question 2. Last year we hired 3 buses for the school trip. We had a total of 162 students and teachers who went on the trip, and all the buses were full. This year we had 204 students. How many buses will we need? Will all the buses be full? Since there are 162 people in 3 buses, we can find how many people were in one bus. That is 162 divided by 3. You should get 54. So each bus is 54 people, and it says that all the buses were full, so the max capacity for each bus was 54. Since this year we had 204 students, we can do 204 divided by 54 to find the number of buses. That should give about 3.7. Means we need at least, if you round it up, 4 buses we need. And since it's 3.7, means there is actual remaining space in the bus. So the buses were not full. Next question. The area of Delhi is 1,484 square kilometers, and the area of Mumbai is 550 square kilometers. The population of Delhi is approximately 30 million, and that of Mumbai is 20 million people. Which city is more crowded? Why do you say so? To find which city is more crowded, we have to find how many people are living per square kilometer. Since Delhi has 1,484 square kilometers and 30 million people live in it, we can just do 30 million divided by 1,484. 30 million divided by 1,484. You should get, so each 1 square kilometer per Delhi is 20,215. Then 1 square kilometer per Mumbai is 20 million divided by 550. That you should get 36,363. So based on this, we can see there's more people living in 1 square kilometer in Mumbai than in Delhi. So the answer is Mumbai. A crane of height 155 cm has its neck and the rest of the body a total ratio of 4:6. For your height, if your neck and the rest of the body also have this ratio, how tall would your neck be? So example, we'll take my height. I'm 6'1", so my height is 187. Since the ratio is 4:6, the total number of groups is 10. So we do 187 divided by 10. You should get 1.18.7. Then you do 18.7 times 4 for its neck. All groups. So you should get my height. For example, you get means my neck is 74.8 centimeters long, which is pretty unusual for a neck. Question 5. Let us try an ancient problem from Lilavati. At that time, weights were measured in the unit named palas and niskas, as was the unit of money. If 2.5 palas of saffron cost 3/7 niskas, O expert businessman, tell me quickly what quantity of saffron can be bought for 9 niskas. So you should first, what's that? Put it in ratio form. 2.5 to 3/7 is blank 9. So to make from 3/7 to 9, you have to times it by 21. So we do the same thing on the side. 2.5 times 21, you should get 52.5. So 52.5 saffron. That's the answer. Question 6. Harmain is a 1-year-old girl. Her brother is 5 years old. What will be Harmain's age when the ratio of her age to her brother's age is 1:2? This question can have many answers. This question can only have one answer. Since Harmain is 1 year old and her brother is 5 years old, the difference in age is always 4 years. So for Harman's age to be half of her brother's age, to be 1/2, we should find a common 4 years of difference. So we do 1/2 after 2 years. So if we times this by 2, the ratio could be either 2:4, or it could be 3:6. The age difference is 2, age difference is 3. We have to find the age difference 4. 4:8. Age difference between those two is 4. So when Harman's age is 4, her elder brother's age is 8. So the ratio is 4:8 since the difference in age is 4. Okay. Next question, 7. The mass of equal volumes of gold and water are in the ratio of 37:2. If 1 liter of water is 1 kg in mass, what is the mass of 1 liter of gold? So since we know there's 2 units of water and 1 liter of water is 1 kg of mass, to find 2 liters of that, so we have to do 37 divided by 2, which gives you 18.5. So that's your answer. Question 8. It is good farming practice to apply 10 tons of cow manure for 1 acre of land. After farming, a farmer is planning to grow tomatoes in a plot size of 200 feet by 500 feet. How much manure should he buy? First, now we have to find the total area of the field. So you do 500 times 200. It should give you 100,000 square feet. And since he said this, it takes 10 tons of cow manure for 1 acre of land, we have to convert this square feet into into acres. So we have to go back to the unit conversion. So it says here 1 acre is 43,560 square feet. Since you have 100,000 square feet, we do 100,000 divided by 43,560. So we should get you should get 2.3 acres. About 2.3 acres. Since 1 acre takes 10 tons, we do 2.3 times 10. So we should get 23. Since 1 acre is 10 tons of cow manure, 2.3 acres takes 23 tons of cow manure. So you should buy 23 tons. Question 9. A tap takes 15 seconds to fill a mug of water. The volume of the mug is 500 ml. How much time does the same tap take to fill a bucket of water if the bucket has 10-liter capacity? A tap takes 15 seconds to fill 500 ml. So we have to find now how much it takes for 1 second. So we do 500 divided by 15. You should get 100 over 3 ml per second. Since we have to fill a 10-liter capacity, 10 liters is also 10,000 milliliters based on the conversion. Over here, 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters, so 10 liters is 10,000. So we do 10,000 divided by 100 over 3. So you should get 300 seconds as your answer to fill 10-liter capacity. Question 10. An acre of land costs 1.5 million rupees. What is the cost of 2,400 square feet of the same land? So we know that 1 acre is 43,560 square feet. We do 1.5 million divided by 43,560 to find how much it costs per 1 square feet of land. That is 34.44. So this is how much it costs for 1 square feet, and you find for 2,400. So you times the answer by 2,400. You should get 82,644.62. So that should be your answer. 656, sorry. So this should be how much it cost for the same land. Question 11. A tractor can plow the same area of a field 4 times faster than a pair of oxen. A farmer wants to plow his 20-acre field. A pair of oxen takes 6 hours to plow an acre field. So it takes 6 hours to plow 1 acre. So for 20 acre, so it's just 20 times 6. So it should take 120 hours. The second part of the question is asking how much faster would it be if he uses a tractor. Since the tractor is 4 times faster, we do 120 hours divided by 4. You should get 30. So it takes 30 hours if you use a tractor instead of a pair of oxen. Question 12. A 10 rupee coin is an alloy of copper and nickel called copper nickel. Copper and nickel are mixed in the ratio of 3:1 to get this alloy. The mass of the coin is 7.74 grams. If the cost of copper is 906 rupees per kilogram and the cost of nickel is 1,341 rupees per kilogram, what is the cost of these metals per 10 rupee coin? Since we know there is 4 groups in total, 3 plus 1, we do 7.74 divided by 4 to find how much one group costs. So we'll put N as nickel. So in a 10 rupee coin, 1.935 grams of it is nickel, and the rest is copper. C is copper. We put it as 5.805 grams. Let me just put this further back. Since we know now how much each gram costs, now you have to find, since the question only gives how much it costs per kilogram, we have to find how much it costs per gram. So let's do it for copper first. We do 906 divided by 1000. We should get not 0.906 rupees per gram. Since there is 5.805 grams, we times the answer by 5.805. So for rupees, it cost 0.906. So for 855, it should cost 5.26. Then for nickel, since 1,341 rupees per kilogram, for 1 gram is just 1,341 divided by 1,000. Since 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams, you get 1.341. And if you times it by the amount per 1.935 grams, you should get 2.59. So we add the number together, 5.26 plus 2.59. You should get 7.85 as your answer. So it costs 7.85 rupees to make a 10 rupee coin. Summary. Point 1. Ratios in the form of A to B indicates that every A unit of the first quantity, the B units of the second quantity, A and B are the terms in the ratio. Second point, two ratios A to B and C to D are proportional if their terms change by the same factor. Third point, if x is divided into two parts in the ratio of m to n, then the quantity of the first part is n times x over m plus n, and the second part is n times x over m plus n. And that's it. This last page is about puzzle binairo. You can do this yourselves, and instructions are right here.